Welcome to the Career Slay podcast, the show where we interview people who love their jobs and discuss career growth, fearless leadership, and creating a life you love. I'm your host, Kelly Poquiz Burke, a marketer turned executive coach, and I'm here to help you lead with courage and slay the fear in career. If you're a fan of these conversations and want to dive deeper into your own career and leadership questions, book a coaching discovery call with me at careerslay.com. Dr. Sebastian is a board-certified pediatrician and newborn hospitalist at Baylor University Medical Center in Dallas, Texas. He earned his medical degree from Texas A&M College of Medicine and completed his pediatrics residency and chief residency at the University of Oklahoma, followed by a fellowship in pediatric endocrinology at UT Southwestern. Before medicine, Dr. Sebastian earned a degree in graphic design from the University of Notre Dame, and that creative foundation continues to shape his approach to healthcare. He's passionate about teaching, improving communication in medicine, and caring for families during their first days with a newborn. Dr. Sebastian also serves on the medical leadership team at Camp Sweeney, a summer camp for kids with type 1 diabetes. A designer and doctor at heart, he's always exploring the intersection of empathy, education, and innovation in pediatric care. Talking to Dr. Sebastian was such a beautiful reminder that career paths aren't always linear, and that's more than okay. From graphic design to pediatrics, Chris followed his heart, took risks, and embraced the scenic route. What stood out most was his deep compassion and joy for helping others, especially as a newborn pediatrician and longtime camp doctor for kids with type 1 diabetes. His story is proof that changing your mind isn't failure, it's growth. If you're wondering whether it's too late to pivot, let this be your sign. It's not. Welcome to Career Slay, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
I can't wait for you to tell your story, and I'm super excited. There's so many connections in our stories, school-wise, city-wise. Majors, yeah. So, okay, let's start from the beginning. Where did you grow up, and what were you like as a kid?
Grew up in Dallas. My parents moved from India to Dallas, and I was born and raised here. I loved reading. I loved drawing. I was the Super Nintendo kid. Art and design and kind of how that all ties together, I really feel like those seeds were planted back then. AOL Instant Messenger was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
You could customize your own logos, your own little icons. Yeah. And so I started with like Microsoft Paint. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do my own. Or I would do stuff for friends and send it to them. I didn't swim, didn't ride a bike. Yeah. I had a very land-based childhood, but we had fun. Yeah.
I didn't learn how to ride a bike until I was in college at Notre Dame, actually.
Yep. I learned how to. I had to take the swim test at Notre Dame.
Me too.
And I was like, no, I promise you, I can't swim. I'll take it for PE.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Okay, so we met in high school. We went to the same college too. So you went to Notre Dame. What did you study?
I started off as a biology major, thinking, okay, people have said medicine might be an interesting fit for me. I tried it out. But for me, I didn't realize kind of how I fit within medicine because growing up, my only experience with doctors, not having anyone in medicine in my family, was my outpatient primary care doc. Yeah. So like, okay, medicine is having a clinic and seeing patients. And that was the only lens through which I saw medicine at the time. I was really interested in art and design. And so I took an architecture course freshman year as your elective.
I did architecture first too.
Amazing.
Okay, and then you moved from architecture to design.
Sort of. It was about halfway through spring semester. I sat down and I thought about it. And I didn't know officially that they had a graphic design major until I overheard it from some classmates. And I was like, okay, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. And so eventually I did shift majors from biology to design.
Oh my God.
And I loved it.
When you made that shift, what did your parents say?
Well, so my parents were very supportive.
Yeah.
My mom just wanted me to be happy, but I think my dad had a little bit of a growing pains with it. I think just immigrant child, your parents come here and they want you to have a good, safe, stable job.
Yeah.
And I think years of hindsight have led me to realize like they just wanted the best for me.
Yeah.
And they gave me the grace and the space to follow it. And I felt like it was very personally fulfilling. This was something that, I have a passion for. I have skills and interest in. But it was definitely a little bit of a surprise at first.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that kind of industry too just was very foreign for them. Okay, what are you going to do with that?
Totally. I mean, I took on marketing as a backup major because my mom didn't know what industrial design was. You did graphic design though, right?
Yeah. And so lots of days in Riley Hall, and I spent almost all my days there, almost all my nights there, and I loved it. It was so energizing being around people with the same interests, the same passions. We had music going 24/7. We would do our homework, but then we'd all have like side art projects. It was just so fun.
It was so fun. Yeah. Oh gosh, I love it. What did you end up doing after college?
So all through undergrad, from that point on, design on the brain. But walking back one random afternoon from the dining hall with some of my friends, we went through my dorm, passed by one particular hallway that had a bulletin board. And on the bulletin board was a note saying, hey, we're this summer camp. We're north of Dallas. We're up here interviewing counselors for summer opportunities. Some friends and I were thinking, well, we're not doing anything. Why don't we just check out that info session?
And what was the summer camp called?
It's Camp Sweeney.
Okay.
And so it's a summer camp for kids who have type 1 diabetes.
Oh, wow.
About 250 kids are there for about 3 weeks, and there's 3 of those sessions all summer. I did not go to a summer camp growing up. This is a whole new experience for me, right?
Yes.
But I went to that info session, checked it out, and there were a few representatives from the camp. There were a few classmates at Notre Dame who were counselors there previously. We watched a video. We learned a little bit about what camp was about, and I had no idea the conversations I was having was the interview.
No way.
And at the end of the night, they offered and they said, we'd like to have you at the summer camp. Are you interested? And again, I'm not doing anything that summer. I don't have an internship lined up.
Okay.
This is close to home, north of Dallas. So I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
I'll sign up. And so summers 05, 06, 07, and 08, I was there as a counselor.
Cool.
And I fell in love with it. And as much as design was very personally fulfilling, and it is so fun as a graphic designer to see something you've made on a shirt, on a poster, in print. It's a book. You're paging through it. That's so cool.
Yeah.
To sit with a kid and to know that you're impacting their life, that to me was fulfilling on a different level. And I just felt like I think this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
So half of my mind thinking, this medicine thing's kind of cool. I never thought about it. This is pediatrics, endocrinology. You could do this. The other half of my mind, well, you've changed majors. You've graduated, graphic design, degree.
Yeah.
It's all set in stone now, right? It's all done. And I think that was one of my hardest moments at first, this cognitive dissonance of, well, you went to school, you got a major. Now it's time to get a job in that field. Is it too late? Am I too old to change my mind? I'm 22, 23.
Oh my God.
You know, at the moment, I think like, guys, this is it. We're all old people now. Of course, in hindsight, you realize, no, it's not too old. But during the non-summer outside camp year, I was trying to find work as a graphic designer. So it was mostly freelance work. And it was hard because 07, 08, financial crisis.
Yep.
A lot of places are saying that, maybe we don't have to have an in-house designer. Maybe we're going to freelance it out. And for me as a green designer with very little experience, craving those opportunities,
right?
I felt like my perspective at the time, these jobs are going to the folks who already have experience. They've got a big old portfolio.
A client list.
Yeah, and I felt like I could never quite get over that hump. And so it was very personally frustrating, but I kept trying. Interested in web, interested in print. I would just do my own art for fun. Repeat tiling patterns for me were really cool, but I had no way of like, how do I become a surface designer? I don't know.
Wallpaper design.
Yeah. No, that's so cool to me. Like making something that tiles infinitely and it's seamless. Like that's cool. So I'm doing this during the off-season, meaning I'm not at summer camp.
Yeah.
And eventually I kind of say, okay, it's not too late to change your field. Let me sit down and think about what it is I want to do. I could be a nurse. I could be a physician's assistant. I could be a physician. I reached out to people who were in school for those fields and also professionals in each of those fields to see, hey, what do you love about your job? What is it you want to do? And how does your job help you do it? And then I would kind of turn that spotlight onto myself later and to kind of ask myself the same questions. What is it I want to pursue? What is it that matters to me? And after a lot of soul searching and just deep thought, a lot of blogging into the early internet, I felt like my road in that field of medicine would be physician.
How did you come about that? Because going back to become a nurse or a physician's assistant, that's a way less hard path than going the full physician route.
Yeah. So off the bat, I knew my graphic design credits weren't going to be enough. I would have to go back to school to take classes. But for me, at the end of the day, I kind of relished the opportunity and honestly the privilege of sitting down, learning all this information, take care of my patients the best I could, and to spend the years learning what I needed to learn to do that. And the truth is, no matter which field that I could have gone into, each one of those roles is so important in the system. Mm-hmm. You need a team in medicine to succeed.
So you make this decision to become a physician, and then what do you do next?
So I know I need to go back to school. Am I too old? Am I going to be the old guy? I'm 25. Am I going to be the old person going back to school? Mm-hmm. Am I going to be able to keep up? Am I going to learn everything? Because again, my mind at that time was, I am a designer. What's that transition going to be like? And the truth is, like, things click and you find yourself after enough time getting used to this new environment, this new language. Mm-hmm. I liked what I was doing. It was fun. Cool. And so for me, it was a really graceful transition. And I had a lot of people helping me and rooting me on from the sidelines and at home. And that made it a whole lot easier.
Where did you do your additional coursework at?
Yeah. So I started super basics at that time. Before I knew I was going to become physician, it was nurse, PA, doctor. I started off like at the local community college, right? Getting a bunch of the super basics and then applying for like a post-bac program at UT Dallas. I also really wanted it, to be shown in my work and in my grades and everything that I'm serious about this change.
Yeah.
And that, again, as this designer, this fish outside of water, that I could handle this and I could take it seriously. And that, this designer could do pre-med stuff, to like leave no doubt for myself and for whoever's at the admissions table that, I could do this.
That's amazing. That's so, so cool. And then what happens?
Yeah, I end up getting matched to a medical school. So I'll be going to Texas A&M, based in Temple, Texas. Temple, Texas is a small town at the time, about 60,000 people or so, in between Waco and Austin. And they have this gem of a hospital and an academic medical center there. And the community really supports its healthcare workers. And again, as a young trainee, that's such a cool thing to be a part of, such an energizing environment to learn in, to train in. And I was there all 4 years of med school, still working at that summer camp.
Oh, really?
Transitioning from 4 years as a counselor to now joining the medical staff. So that was a big change. As a counselor, you are living and working with the kids directly one-on-one the whole time. On the medical staff, you are in some respects kind of behind the scenes. You are handling every insulin dose.
Wow.
For 250 kids times 4 meals a day. We're responding to any kind of emergency related to type 1 diabetes or just pediatrics in general. And I loved it.
Is the beauty of the camp the fact that because all the kids have type 1 diabetes, they're not thinking that they're the other, they're all just able to kind of lift that, burden off their back and just be kids?
Yes. And I think as kids, especially think junior high, think high school, the one thing you don't want to be is different.
Yeah.
And for so much of what goes on in type 1 diabetes, it's not something you can turn off and turn on. It's not a once a day treatment that you can take and just carry on like usual. It is 24/7. You are doing math, you're doing science, you're prepping, you're anticipating, you're getting all sorts of data thrown your way. I never say to my patients or my campers, I know what you're going through, because I don't. I don't know what it's like firsthand to have that experience. I can only relay what those who have it have told to me about it. And so for those kids, they're suddenly surrounded by 30, 60 other kids their age who have type 1 diabetes, who know what it's like firsthand. they get a chance to mentor kids who are younger than them or kids who are maybe older but have had diabetes less long in their life, their recent diagnoses. They get to make those connections, and it's really amazing to see them just naturally embrace those roles. This is not something you have to tell the kids to do. They just kind of do it on their own. And it's just like, it's amazing to see that in real life, to see it in motion. And then at Sweeney, you get to see that every single day. Yeah. And I could talk all day about it.
I
right?
can tell.
Yeah.
I mean, it really had a life-changing impression on you.
Yeah.
And so how did, working at this camp influence the direction you took when you went to medical school?
Automatically, I'm feeling in my heart pediatrics. Love working with kids. Also feeling endocrinology. That is a specialty within medicine that deals with hormones, that deals with diabetes. I loved so many different parts of medicine, but I felt at that time that, my heart and my story was leading me to pediatrics. And so third year of medical school, after going through your clerkship rotations where you are seeing surgery, internal medicine, psychiatry, OBGYN, pediatrics, everything, family medicine, it's like this matchmaking service that I think your sister has probably told you about.
Yeah.
You apply in a field for a residency spot. And for those outside of medicine, you go to medical school for 4 years, and then you go off to residency for at least 3, sometimes more years of training within that flavor of medicine. And sometimes you have to do additional training beyond that in a fellowship. So for me, I'm applying to pediatrics residency. I'm applying to a bunch of different programs. And I had matched to pediatrics at the University of Oklahoma in Oklahoma City, which was a program I fell in love with. And honestly, if I could go back through to redo that and go anywhere else for training, I would still choose OU.
Cool.
And so I did 3 years of training in pediatrics at OU. And residency is a long and tiring process, but I loved it. It was so fun. So I loved my co-residents, and the program reached out and they had offered a position for me to stay on as an additional year as chief resident.
Oh my God, this is like Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. So this is, you're given, and I've said, yeah, I want to do it.
Cool.
And so as chief resident, you have attending responsibilities, but you're also, with the program directors helping to guide and run this program. And me and my co-chief, Tyler, we got to have a big impact on the day-to-day life as a residency program. And for me, I love advocating and I love being able to give back to a place that I feel has given me so much, and to also leave the place a little better than you found it, kind of bend that arc, that trajectory, to have an impact on the world around you that says okay, I was here.
Yeah. So just to take a step back.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have heard that residency is a really difficult period of time for a physician, especially because you're working crazy hours and, you're not getting much sleep. What do you do as a resident?
So you are working as a doctor, but you are also learning so much in this phase of your training. And so each month you're on a different rotation. And in the course of training, you want to see and do and train in everything. And so over the course of your career in residency, you should have the training, the exposure, the breadth and depth needed to say, okay, I'm done with training. I've taken my board exams. I'm licensed. Now I am the attending physician. This is what people think of when they think of doctor. But the learning doesn't stop.
Right.
And every day we're always learning.
Yeah.
No one is a completed project. No one's done. But your experiences and training help to put you in a position to take care of that patient across from you. And it's pretty cool.
So what did you do after being chief resident at OU?
I came back home to Dallas, very excited to come home. I completed my first year of training in pediatric endocrinology and then transitioned to the newborn nursery, where I'm a newborn pediatric hospitalist.
Oh, cool.
I love it. And it's the same nursery where I was born.
No way.
And so just cosmically, in the big picture, how cool is it to really come all the way back full circle? And so for me now, as a newborn nursery pediatrician, I get to say that I was this new baby's first pediatrician.
Yeah.
Right after delivery.
Yeah.
And we set them up for, life outside of the hospital. And it's just such a cool privilege as a pediatrician to say, I remember you when you were born.
Yeah.
How cool is that? And a lot of that newborn period, there is a lot of celebration and joy.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also a lot of stressful moments.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I want to be that physician who's there with that family.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes it's a problem or a thing that they knew about. Sometimes it's a surprise. And so some of these days and conversations can be really heavy, but it really is a privilege to sit in the room with that family. And I'm teaching the medical students and the residents. I'm learning from families too.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's bringing their own experience and expertise to the table. And it's just really cool to problem solve together. And I love my job. I love my work. And I really do feel like I'm exactly where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool.
I mean, you exude just like so much joy, and you can tell that you like love what you do. What was your biggest fear in switching careers? Because it was a journey to get you from point A to point B, right? Yeah. Do you have any regrets?
No regrets, because I believe the scenic route for me put me in position to have these amazing experiences and to get to meet so many important people in my life that, who knows if you replay time, if I went from the dining hall back to my dorm room, a different hallway, if I didn't find out about Camp Sweeney, mm-hmm. if I didn't pursue medicine, if I didn't, take a chance on something that deviates from, oh, this is my story, right? Plot twist. Lots of surprise changes. And so for me, just with the benefit of time and hindsight, I feel like my experiences have allowed me to be more comfortable with those surprising changes and mm-hmm. to be flexible through it and to have grace through that process. But the most important thing is each year more and more understanding what's important to me. Mm-hmm. And what's important to me today might be different than what's important to me in 5 years. Mm-hmm. We're not always set in stone, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
The really exciting thing is to look back and to see the growth, to see the change, what you may have missed out on had you not taken that chance.
That's amazing. And how would you say that design has played a role? Because it was such a big part of your life.
Yeah.
How does that play a role in your job and your life today?
I still identify myself as both designer and doctor. That's still a part of me that is really important to me. There are obvious ways and maybe less obvious ways that you can bring design into medicine. Mm-hmm. And I think some obvious ways are printed materials, flyers, teaching resources. Non-obvious ways, I think, are your approaches to problem solving that might differ. There's a lot of folks in medicine historically who studied biology 4 years, went to med school for 4 years, went to training. And this is the way we do things because this is always the way we've done things. And for me, I don't like that.
Yeah.
What if there's other approaches? What if there's other perspectives? And I think me being a designer, I think we have that natural tendency, design thinking. Mm-hmm. And especially the last 10 years, that last decade, so much effort bringing design thinking into worlds outside of design. And medicine is no different. I think it affects how I approach the process of problem solving, but then how I might teach. It's really encouraging to see new generations of trainees and students and professionals and attendings who have a different approach. Yeah. And it's just really cool to have an impact on that. I'm just one person, but if I can impact that small world around me and they pass it on and they pass it on, it's pretty cool.
You're planting seeds, right? So do you have any advice for someone who wants to pursue a career in medicine?
I would say shadow, and really see what the day-to-day life is like for that field of medicine that you're interested in. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to come in thinking one thing and leave thinking another.
Yeah.
I think that's great. And it shows you have introspection, you have, really mature thinking and skills. Mm-hmm. And as much as it's important to pursue what you're interested in, I think seeing things that, turns out I didn't like X, Y, or Z. I think that is just as informative to know what might be the best fits and maybe not as best fits for you and your interests.
Yeah, I think, going back to your point about like, you can always change your mind. I mean, your whole story is a testament about that, right? But it's about taking the time to find the reflection and figure out what it is that you truly want in your life so that you can go after that path, right?
Yeah.
Looking back, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
I would say you're on the right track, because at that age, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my future, but I was putting myself in that environment at camp, taking chances. I would say be patient with yourself as you learn to push yourself beyond what you thought you might have been able to do, to overcome some of those obstacles of your own mind. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, it's not too late to change your mind. You're not too old to go back to school, and to continue to relish just the everyday highs and lows that come with the day-to-day experience.
Yeah, I think when we take that pressure off of ourselves, you can do so much more, right? Mm-hmm. Changing your failure takes the scariness away from it.
It's not this stamp that's on your permanent record.
Right.
And I think once you can move from comparing yourself to those around you, mm-hmm. to, again, looking at who you are today and who you were yesterday, and reframe that, I think things get so much better. I'm going to continue to grow. I'm not a finished product. I'm still going to keep learning and growing. And isn't it cool to see how far, we've all come all these years?
Right.
Like, I think that's pretty amazing.
If you had to sum up your career in 3 words, what would those be?
Flexibility, certainly making those changes, optimistic, and persistent.
Tell me more.
You may not be able to see everything that future holds for you, but if you feel like all the information that you've had leads you to making what you feel is an informed decision, that you have that faith to know that, you know what, from these experiences, from what I've learned, I feel like I'm making the right jump for myself, even though I can't see what the future has in store, but I feel like I'm on the right track. And to say that I put in the work and I put in the time to make sure that, we've covered our bases, we have our ducks in a row, and we'll see what that future holds. We may not always know what's around that corner, but I feel good about what we've done to get here, and I want to keep going.
Yeah. So are you still involved with Camp Sweeney?
I am. So I was there as a counselor, and then I was on the medical staff, but now I'm an attending physician there. Cool. I'm there during the off season, helping to prep for the coming summers. I'm there on opening day, meeting and greeting with the families, the new campers, and then during the actual sessions themselves, I'm on campus as one of the doctors. And so it's been really special to see campers that I've known since they were yay high become young adults, and some of them have kids of their own who are at camp. So I love it. I'm still there every summer.
Oh my gosh.
Now it's like 20
so
summers
cool.
worth now.
Oh my gosh. Your story is so inspiring. Thank you so much for being on the show. This has been such a great conversation. I really enjoyed catching up with you.
Thank you so much for having me. From learning about your podcast and what you've been doing, this is incredible. I'm touched that you would have me here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. The pleasure's all mine.
The Career Slay podcast is a co-production of Career Slay and Weld Reply. This episode was produced by Michael Burke. If you like the show, subscribe and leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you're ready to level up, pivot, or lead with confidence, book a coaching discovery call with me at careerslay.com.